Hello everybody, it's your boy N here. I'm coming at you guys with another YouTube video. So, today's video I'm going to be doing something very different to what I normally do. Normally I just present a build and I just tell you what's best, so on and so forth, but for once I'm gonna take a different approach. I'm gonna build the build in real time and tell you exactly what you're gonna be focusing on, what you're going to need, and everything from the ground all the way up to basically help people get a better understanding of how to build in this game. So in this video I'm going to focus on two bunny builds. The first build being her electric ring or her third ability, and then the second build is going to be her electric condensed nuking build. So step one is going to be choosing our maneuvering module. Now multi-air maneuvering is not bad, long distance maneuvering again is not bad, but if you want to maximize your movement with bunny, it is going to be mid-air maneuvering. The reason we are using this is because you can grapple into literally the nothing, into the void, but if you use your melee and flick whilst you are grappling, you will be able to basically perform a spin, and that's going to give you a little bit more momentum. Now for our red module, regardless of whether we're focusing on our third or our fourth ability, is still going to be electric condense. The damage you can get off just a simple condensed nuke is far superior of that of high voltage or of anything else that you can run. So regardless, our red module is going to be the electric condense red module. Next up, let's focus on skill cost. So skill cost for bunny, if we just search up skill cost, there is two options and we're going to go with both of them for this specific setup. Option number one is maximize conservation, and then option number two is strong mentality. Now with this we already have 50% skill cost on my bunny, which is reduced, which is very high. If we run with this just with our second ability, we're not going to be draining very fast at all. Now the downside of conservation is that, of course, the skill power modifier, our damage is reduced. So to combat that, we are not going to be using low level damage modules. Instead, we are going to be maxing out our damage with this specific setup. So for our damaging modules, this is going to be a non-critting build, so we're going to go with the amplification modules. Now bunny's third ability is of course electric, and it is also singular. For this we are going to be going with singular amplification as well as electric amplification, so those are going to be our two damage modules. Now the other two damage modules we are going to be going with, you would assume it is going to be focus on. However, the focus on modules are not full max damage modules. Now for bunny specifically, I would go with skill simplification. The downside of this is that our max MP is reduced by 25%, but because of how cost efficient we are, this is not going to hurt us very much, and 84.5% skill power modifier is superior to the electric singular counterpart, so it's more superior to focus on singular and will give us more damage overall. Now the other module is going to be singular master. Now singular master is very simple, and it's also very close to focus on electric. You do get overall skill power, which scales a little bit better I believe with bunny, and then we also get skill power modifier for singular anyways. Now, I know you might be scratching your head and be asking, well, what about power increase? Now, power increase is just 65% skill power. Between singular master, power increase, and the other option being electric master, there is very little difference. My main takeaway from this is that in power increase will allow you to condense about 4 million damage harder over about 10 tests which I ran. Singular master will allow your third ability to hit for 10 million extra damage over 10 extra tests that I did as well. So because we are focusing on our third ability, singular master is going to be the call for this one. Next up, let's focus on the two other things that bunny is going to need. Number one is going to be range. So for range, we are of course going to go with, if I can spell correctly, the two range modules. That is going to be amplification control as well as expansion. Now, why are we not using maximize range? Again, because it is skill power modifier, and if we use a 40%, we will be losing a significant amount of damage, or you will be losing more damage. If you are playing in solo just by yourself, go with maximize range, because the extra range will make a bit of a difference, and you'll still have more than enough power to one-shot everything. Now If you are playing in public though, you do not want this other 20% skill power modifier to be reducing your damage, so go with amplification control. This will take you basically almost, if not all the way to cap anyways, so you'll be at cap, you'll be completely fine. Now, you'll notice that we've still got the exact same cooldown, so let's fix that next. For cooldown, we are going to go with MP conversion. You'd rather go with 36 over the 26 with nimble fingers. The reason we are going with that is because the negative on the MP really doesn't matter. Our bunny is efficient and very efficient at that, so that is going to be the main thing with the build. Now the last module is a little bit of a wild card. You can basically go with almost anything. You could go with a little bit of extra damage if you want, you could go with some extra range, a little bit of HP if you will, but in this, I am going to be going with Dangerous Ambush. Now, Dangerous Ambush is here because regardless of whether you are using this on a whether you're using this in dungeon or wherever you're using this, this will give you a little bit of a damage increase. Now it does say on enemies that are immobilized, you can get plus 49% skill power, which is correct. I do believe that immobilized is also on the same level as enemies not targeting you as well. And what not targeting you is when you spawn trap enemies or when you run into them so fast they don't even see you, you will hit them for extra damage regardless. So basically, for dungeons, Dangerous Ambush is going to be an absolutely great call. So overall for Bunny, this is going to be the build that we are going to go with. This is a max damage build for her third ability, and if I refresh this over here, you can see we've got more cooldown than duration. It is a little bit tight, but we still do have more cooldown than duration. As for our Condensed, cooldown on here is not too bad, the damage is not too bad, and even with this, there's still more things to be done. Now, I am going to be using a Peacemaker. You only need one sprint core of an X core, so level 10 core, any sprint core, which the lowest will be 10%, is still enough to get Bunny up to her sprint cap. So sprint cap for Bunny is possible with a single X core as long as it is over 10%. Even if you don't use an X core, let's say you use a level 9, as long as it's over 10% you will be fine, but just use an X core because it's a lot easier to get it that way. Now for the actual weapon, it's going to be the Peacemaker. Now why are we using the Peacemaker? Simply just because the movement speed on this weapon is the highest out of all the other weapons in game. Sprint speed really does not matter because with one sprint core, Bunny is at that 1600 cap, so we're focusing on movement speed, which is the next way to focus your speed up. When you grapple, the momentum is the same no matter what you do, so grapple momentum is not a thing in this game. So you are going to want to make sure that you just focus on movement speed instead. Now for the Reactor. In this setup, I'm going with maxed out damage. I'm going with the hand cannon mounting, of course, for my Peacemaker. Singular and electric in the middle for, of course, singular and electric damage. Then I'm also going with singular and electric damage at the bottom as well. So this is just a straight maxed out damage Reactor for this specific setup. The external components for this are fairly simple as well. Now, because we do have 2 skill cost modules on our setup, going on here, you could go with additional skill cost. So that would be 2 pieces of the Ascending Armory set, or you could alternatively go with additional damage. So that would be the Plague set for a little bit more singular inside of there. Now even these as a two-piece set would be very good. For your external components, regardless of whatever they are, for your cores you are going to want to go with max HP, and then for your second blue core you're going to want to go with max defense. Regardless of whatever stats they are, you just want that on your external component cores. For your actual stats on your components, for your power, you are always going to want HP and MP recovery out of combat, MP and MP recovery in combat, MP recovery modifier and defense or electric resistance, and then max shield, toxic, shield recovery modifier is going to be fine as well. That's for every single Descendant in the game, apart from Glare, which you would want to basically get all of the resistances and HP recovery modifier on your sensor. So that is going to be the main thing. Now, in this specific instance, I would go with 2 pieces of Plague, because again, that's singular damage boost. Or alternatively, you could go with 2 pieces of the Enlightened Mage set, if I can find it. There it is. 2 pieces of the Mage is still plus 6 power as well. So I would just go with the Plague set, but that's just personal preference for me over here. Next up, let's go over the arcade tuning tree. Now for the tree, like I did mention, this is going to be a full damage setup. So with this, we are going to be going over to this side for the tree, and then we are going to be going up here, and we are going to go with enhanced skill power for the first side of our tree. Next up, we're going to go all the way up here, and we're going to go up towards this mutant cell over here, and this is going to be electric cohesion, which will again allow us to get more damage for our third ability. Now, we've still got 10 points, so there's plenty that we could do. We could focus on the cooldown, which is what we are going to do, because we've only got 1 cooldown module. We've got to compensate a little bit. Now, there's a lot of other things that you can do too as well. You could get enhanced MP recovery out of combat, but for this instance, we are going to get enhanced MP recovery modifier, and then for survivability purposes, you don't really need to, but max HP as well. You can see over here, my bunny has 11,000 HP, so you really don't need to use this HP node, but for whatever reason, if you want your bunny to survive a ton, this will basically be the right call. Now, let's finish off with the inversion reinforcements for this build. For this build, Adrenaline Rush for your speed is going to be essential. You know, that's just going to help you run faster. For the second one, Biodensity Augmentation, a little bit of additional extra HP if you would like. And then Probabilistic Recovery System is your third one. Or if you want to go with Neurostim, or even if you want to go with Neuro Focus Augmentation, these would all be fine. Now, this is the entire setup for the Bunny 3 build, specifically for her build with the third ability. So, let me run on into some gameplay real quick, and then we will talk about the Condensed build next. So, for this gameplay, I'm going to be doing a singular run of the shelter. I did also throw the Malevolent on just for a quick bit of damage when it comes to the bosses, because believe it or not, Bunny's third ability is not the greatest for taking out the elites at the end of a dungeon. So you can see with this here, I'm using that melee flick, and then I'm also going to be taking advantage and using that melee flick to basically get my ass all over everywhere here, and I'm basically just going to use it to nuke everything around here. Same with Condense, I'm just going to use that to blow up the last few mobs, and this is essentially how I would play the bunny. You basically have enough damage to like rip everything apart. You can see me hitting 300-400 Ks inside of this dungeon regardless, and yeah, this is a pretty strong setup, and you just want to jump around with it basically in this specific instance. But for the most part, Bunny is so fast and so loaded that all you gotta do is basically just run around. Also, Stranddev, thank you for the follow, I really appreciate that, bro. Mary, thank you for the gifted sub. Yeah, I am live on Twitch whilst doing this video, so there you go. That's what the notifications you guys are seeing are. But you can see just in general that this build absolutely slaps. Bad grapple over there, and this is essentially how you deal with the bosses on this build as well. Pop open a Condense, and then there you go, boom, absolutely nuke everything. Once the bosses have dropped their defenses again, I'm going to use the Malevolent now, because Bunny's third ability isn't the fastest like I mentioned before. And yeah, that's essentially how you would deal with this. Just use the Malevolent to finish everything off, and done. Boom. That was a nice quick run of the shelter. You can see that, minute and a half. Not the fastest run ever. Can definitely optimize it more for speedrunning. Maestro, thank you for the follow. Appreciate that, bro. You could definitely optimize this for speedrunning way more. But as an example, I think this is a fairly good example, showing you how this build basically works. So that is going to be all that you need to know for the Condensed setup for Bunny. For the 3 setup for Bunny. If you do want to see what my Malevolent is, I've basically got a full Malevolent made for Purge 35, and then I've just got a little bit of ammo on it and stuff like that. That's my Malevolent setup for anyone who wants to know about that. And yeah, let's start off now by talking about the Condensed setup. So now let's talk about the other build for Bunny, and that is the Condensed build. I think a lot of people like spamming Condensed with Bunny, so let me give you literally the best setup to do it and give you a ton of damage whilst you're doing it, all the important stuff again. Now we are going to go with mid-air maneuvering again. This is going to follow the same principle. We're going to be flicking and we're going to be using maneuvering for that anyways. Red module, of course, you know, an electric condense build needs the electric condense red module. Now let's talk about the main thing, and that is going to actually be electric condense's cooldown. So Condense does have a long cooldown, so for this we want to max out our cooldown completely. So everything we're gonna do is gonna be for cooldown. So that includes running, focus on singular, and focus on electric, as well as using nimble fingers and also using MP conversion. So this is gonna be our full cooldown setup, and this is gonna basically allow us to run everything that we can, or as much cooldown as we can, to basically compensate and run as much spammy condense as we can as well. Next up, let's focus on our damage. So for our damage modules, we are going to be going with the amplification modules again. The amplification modules will be here for the exact same purpose, and yeah, let's get ourselves electric amplification, as well as, where is it now? Singular amplification. There you go. That's going to be everything you need for your damage. Now, for our range, again, we are going to go with the same two modules. We're going to go with expansion and amplification control. And then we've got two modules open. So we are going to go with some skill cost, because, like I said, nuking with this is really not going to make a difference. So let's go with maximize conservation. Then we're going to follow the same steps as I followed in my other setup, or in my other video, or other build for Bunny at least, and that's going to be dangerous ambush, allowing us to nuke like crazy. Now over here, if we just go back in, you can see that this is a much more loaded setup, and even with this you can see that we are going to be doing more damage with our we're going to be doing a good amount of damage with our 3, literally no cooldown. Same with our 1, literally no cooldown. Now, I know you might be wondering, why are you going with focus on singular inside of a condensed nuking build for Bunny? Now, the reason we are doing this specifically is because I also want my third ability with Bunny to still have enough damage to absolutely rip everything apart, so we can still run through the dungeons without any problems. If you want to go with fusion, focus on fusion instead. That is completely okay. But I'm going with focus on singular because at the same time, I want to make sure my Bunny's 3 still has enough power to run me through everything that I need. And then I can use condense as please as well. So that's why I'm using focus on singular. That is the same reason we are using a singular reactor as well. Now, for the singular reactor, I've gone with hand cannon mounting again. That is because my peacemaker is still staying here. 1 sprint speed is enough, 2 grapples to make myself spider. Very, very fast, very easily is going to be what you need anyways. Then for this one over here, electric and singular, again, because I do want damage on my third ability. Now, the main stat on this reactor is going to be cooldown. You ideally want cooldown. Cooldown fusion would probably be the best for your damage. That's basically the main thing. Duration up is still fine. That's what I have, so that's what I'm running. But if you do get cooldown and singular or fusion, that would be the best for this specific setup. Now, for the external components on this build as well, there is 2 options, and there's 2 pieces which you are definitely going to want to use as well. Because we are only running 1 skill cost module on this build, I would recommend using 2 pieces of the ascending armory is going to be the best bet. Same stats on the cores, same stats on the memory sensor and for the processor. And then the other 2 pieces I would recommend is 2 pieces of the hunter set. Like I said, we are focusing as much as we can on cooldown. So definitely are going to want to run that. And then you are also going to want to run, where is it? There you go, that. So you can see over here, 2 pieces of each is going to be absolutely peachy. If you really want to focus on getting your max HP, you could rejig your parts and stuff like that. But honestly, max HP, MP recovery out of combat on here, max MP, MP recovery in combat, and MP recovery modifier. Defense is also a bonus, and then max shield toxic resistance is going to be great here. Max HP and defense across everything, and you're basically balling. Now, like I said, you can change this to a fusion reactor if you want your Condensed to hit a lot harder. But for the most part, singular is my preference. If fusion is yours, absolutely go for it. Now, for arcade tuning, the tree stays the exact same. Nothing is going to change on that. And inversions are going to stay the exact same too. So that's the condensing setup. So let's get on into some gameplay for the condensed setup as well. Now over here, we're going to be going down there, which is all good. This will be a somewhat of a good example of Bunny. So we'll just go with that. So with this over here, you're going to see that even using our third ability is enough to basically one-shot all the trash, which is what I wanted. And then for Condense, you'd basically just run around and jump around and use this anyways. Now, the reason I did say that I liked focusing on the singulars, because like you can see here, I'm not going to be using Condense to kill absolutely everything, but when I do use it, I do want it to basically have the capability to kill everything as well. And you can see here, I'm basically getting exactly the mileage I wanted out of this, and yeah, that's the main thing. Now, let's just keep moving through the mission, and you can see here, I'm not even using any weapons or anything. I'm just focusing on my capability of my electric condense, so that is the main thing over here. Then you can see this as well. One phase, I almost killed everything in a single nuke over there. Just killed that last mob off as well. I just got slightly unlucky with the placement over there, but you can see here we're absolutely flying through Sigma. This is just, it's a good build, and I don't really know what else to tell you. You've got the damage you need, you've got the condensing you need. It's basically everything you need in a singular setup for Bunny. And for a lot of people, they will make the fusion build completely fusion based for Bunny, which I think is a little bit of a mistake, because you do usually end up in a position where you're running around with your third ability and it's just not capable of killing anything, which is a very major downside. So you can see here, Pastor and Elias absolutely nuke her. Even this guy, see this poor guy, nuke him. And because of cooldown just, you know, being so good, you can do this, and then, oh no, Pat and Elias, goodbye, and so on and so forth. Even if you do this in public, you might not one-shot them, but you'll absolutely disintegrate 90% of their health, or majority of their health anyways. So that's going to be your main baseline, and you definitely will not be let down by this build. Even there you go, didn't one-shot it perfectly, but you can see here, in terms of your damage, you're going to hit a good healthy amount of damage. You're going to clear Sigma quite fast. You're going to clear anything quite fast. I just think that Sigma is a little bit of a better example of somewhere you'd use this build over a dungeon. So yeah, that's just me. So guys, that's basically been this video on Bunny, and I hope you have enjoyed. If you did, please do smash that like button. This was a very different style of video for me, so I do hope you guys have enjoyed it. If you did enjoy it, please leave a comment and just let me know how you felt about it, all that, yada 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 yada. But yeah, that's basically been this video. I hope you've enjoyed. Smash that like button, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.